So we're going to talk about your dashboard and all the different symbols that you're going to need to know. Now there is another chapter and another day that does go into dashboard symbol lights, but we're going to talk about the ones that are actually required by law. So let's go ahead and look at them real quick. It says, what are alert symbol lights and symbols? They are lights and symbols found on your instrument panel dash. Where can I find information on my vehicle's dash lights and gauges? Now you have to understand that every vehicle is a little bit different. So if you really want to get a good understanding of your vehicle gauges and lights, you want to go ahead and look into your owner's manual. So your owner's manual is really found in the glove compartment box, and you really want to get to know it, especially when you get into a new car or a car you're unfamiliar with, or even a rental car, so that way you know exactly how your gauges and your lights are functioning. So let's talk about the temperature gauge and light. Alright, so temperature gauge, it informs you of operating temperature of the engine. The temperature light, if the light comes on while driving, pull off the road safely and get professional help. Never open the radiator cap when hot. Okay. Now, of course, we're going to talk about the radiator cap a little bit more in detail a little bit later in this chapter. But the temperature gauge is very important. It kind of lets you know where your car is at in terms of temperature. Usually when you start up in the morning, it's in the cold section, and then as you continue to drive or start driving, you'll start noticing it'll get up into the mid-range, and that's where it will stay, basically, because your radiator system is keeping the engine cool while you're driving it. But if you start noticing it creeping upwards towards the red, and sometimes you'll see that during the summer months, or if you're driving in a hot desert, but if you do see that, go ahead and start taking precaution, be proactive, and try to figure out why your car is starting to overheat. Alright, oil pressure gauge and light. Okay, now this warns you when the oil is not circulating at the proper pressure. You either have a pump failure or lack of oil. It does not inform you about the oil level in your engine. A lot of people have a misconception about that. It just talks about the pressure of your oil in your car. If the warning light or gauge activates, go ahead and proceed to the nearest service station. Alright, alternator, battery warning light. Okay, the alternator is not generating enough power to charge your battery. If it turns on while driving, turn off all radio and AC and electrical devices inside your car, and have your battery and alternator checked by a service professional. Alright, brake system warning light. Do not confuse the brake system warning light with the ABS light. The brake warning light can alert you to several problems, such as having your parking light on while driving. If it also alerts you if all or part of your braking system is not functioning properly. If parking brake is not active, you see this light, you have your brakes checked immediately. A lot of times, most often, if you do see this light, it's because you still have your parking brake on and you're starting to drive your car. So, if you do see that light at the first instance, think of that right away. Is my parking brake on? Okay, if it's not on, then yeah, you definitely want to get your braking system checked out immediately. You don't want to continue to drive with that light on, especially if your parking brake is not active. Anti-lock braking system, ABS. Alright, this alerts you at the start of at the startup of your car. If it comes on when you start up your vehicle, just let you know that your ABS is working fine. If the light comes on while driving, it indicates a problem with the ABS. Have the problem corrected by a service professional or service center. Okay, because your braking system is very important. Alright, airbag warning light. It alerts you that your airbags are in proper working condition on startup. It should go off after a few seconds. If it remains on or comes on while driving, the airbags are not in proper working condition. Have them repaired at a service station. Alright, so service engine soon light. Okay, you'll see this probably more often in your vehicle. On your car, you have what they call an onboard computer monitors. And it kind of keeps track of your operation of your fuel system, ignition, emissions control systems. If it turns on while driving, have the code read by a service center or auto parts store to find out what needs to be corrected. Anytime I see this light come on, I usually just run over to a AutoZone or an auto parts store, and they have a little system. They'll check it for free. They'll tell you exactly what code is being produced, and they'll tell you exactly what needs to be done. A lot of times, your gas cap needs to be replaced because it's letting out emissions, and replace that cap. That light will go off after a few minutes. So, but if it's not your gas cap, whatever the code says, then that's what you need to get addressed. All right, door jar light, real simple. This light will appear if the door is not closed completely. It will stay on until it's corrected. You'll also hear a beeping noise letting you know your car door is open. So that way it alerts you that you need to close your door completely before continuing to drive. Alright, low fuel warning light. The fuel gauge indicates how much fuel is in the tank. When the fuel light comes on, it indicates that there is about 2 gallons of fuel left in the tank. Stop and refuel as soon as possible. Now, when it comes to fuel, I always tell my students, look, once your car gets to half a tank, go ahead and fill it back up. And the reason that is because inside your fuel tank you have what they call a fuel pump. Alright, now that fuel pump is only cooled by the actual fuel inside the tank. So the more you let that tank go down below half a tank, the more that fuel pump is exposed and not being cooled properly. And a lot of times if you constantly drive your car to near empty or the fuel light comes on, that fuel pump is going to wear out much quicker because it also lubricates the fuel pump as well. So if that fuel pump goes out, getting that fuel pump replaced is very expensive and it's very labor intensive. So if you want to keep that fuel pump working correctly for much longer, if you plan on keeping your car for more than 10 years, you definitely want to go ahead and fill up your tank every time you get to half tank or no less than a quarter tank. So it definitely keeps your car working a lot better. Plus you won't find yourself in situations where you run out of gas. Alright, so vehicle malfunctions. There are a number of things that can go wrong with your vehicle while driving. The most common include tire failure, either be a flat or a blowout, accelerator pedal sticks, engine stalls, flooded engine, overheating engine, total steering failure, and brake failure. So tire failure, how do we handle it? A blowout. First of all, a blowout is a rapid loss of tire inflation. You either have an explosion from a hot tire because the tire got too hot, or it's a reaction from driving over an object on the roadway. A flat tire is basically produces a smaller effect in terms of air loss, but eventually, once all the air is gone, you have what they call a flat tire instead of complete destruction of the tire. A flat tire is usually repairable, but a blowout, unrepairable. It completely destroys the tire. So what do you do in case of a blowout? You want to maintain speed, do not brake hard, you want to grip the steering wheel firmly, keep in a straight line, activate the hazard lights if possible. When under control, ease off the accelerator, check traffic and select a safe path off the roadway to change the tire. Alright, engine stalls. This happens sometimes. It can be for a number of reasons. Your battery died, a water hose broke, or you ran out of gas, or a number of other things that may be going on with your engine. This basically means when your engine stops suddenly while driving. That's what we call an engine stall. So what do? You want to go ahead and shift the car into neutral, activate the hazard lights, activate the starter using the ignition switch several times. So if you have a key, go ahead and turn that ignition. If you have a start button, go ahead and press that start button several times until the engine restarts. If the engine restarts, go ahead and shift to the appropriate gear, accelerate, and turn off the hazard lights. If the engine does not restart, check traffic for a safe path off roadway. Once in a safe spot, apply brakes until you stop, put the car into park with the parking brake, and call for a tow. Engine overheats. Alright, so the gauge or indicator lets you know the temperature is rising and or overheating. So what should you do? You want to turn off your AC, of course, steer onto the shoulder, activate hazard lights, open up the hood to allow heat to escape, visually check hoses and belts while engine cools. Now this is very important. We're allowing the engine to cool. Okay, this may take some time. Alright, if the coolant overflow tank is low, get a container of water. Go ahead and once the engine has cooled, go ahead and unlock the radiator cap 1/4 turn. Now 1/4 turn is not a complete turn, just a fourth of a turn. And then you want to step back from the vehicle, allowing the pressure to be released. Now after the pressure is released, go ahead and push and turn the radiator cap. Now we're opening the radiator cap on a cooled engine, not a hot engine. Alright, we allowed the engine to cool. Very important aspect about this. You only open a radiator cap when the engine is cooled, not when it's hot, okay, especially when it's overheating. What you want to do from there is go ahead and add water slowly until you fill the radiator. Once it's filled, go ahead and restart the engine and proceed to the nearest service station for an inspection of your radiator system. Okay, very important. Alright, brake failure. Alright, so complete brake failure is very, very rare today in modern vehicles. If your car was built anytime after 1995, having a brake failure is very, very rare. But in case it does happen, you need to know what to do. Now, the reason why it's rare, of course, is because you have a dual braking system. Now, what should you do? You want to go ahead and downshift. All right. What we mean by downshift, we don't mean putting it into neutral. We mean putting it into 1, 2, 3, or low gear. Low gear is probably the best. Right? This what it does is it allows the engine to act as a brake, okay? Because you have compression of the engine when you put it into low gear. You want to go ahead and pump the brakes several times to restore braking power. You want to pump the parking brake while releasing the lock mechanism, okay? You want to select a safe path of travel while slowing and steering around obstacles. Okay, this is what happens during a brake failure. So, now vehicle systems. Now inside your car you have many vehicle systems that operate, and of course you have to make sure you maintain them. But they include the steering system, which includes the steering wheel, steering column, steering gearbox, steering linkage, power steering. You have the suspension system, which includes springs, shock absorbers, stabilizers, struts, hydraulics. You have an electrical system, which includes the ignition system, charging system, starting system, and accessory circuits. You also have a fuel system, which includes a fuel tank, fuel line, fuel injection, fuel filter, fuel pump, air filter. You also have a braking system, which include the disc brakes, brake drums, dual master cylinders, brake lines, power brake, parking brake, and anti-lock brakes. Okay, so how do you jump start a car? So this is a quick little video on how to jump start a car. It's real simple. Some people may be kind of wary of doing jump starting a car, but after watching this video you should have a lot of confidence in doing it. Of course, you always want to be safe, but knowing what to do is what's going to allow you to be safe. So let's go ahead and watch this real quick.
Winter is coming, but we're not talking about the ominous refrain from Game of Thrones. We are, however, talking about the season of sore throats, frozen pipes, and dead car batteries. If you do find yourself turning the key to no avail, here's a quick rundown on how to jumpstart your car. Park the assisting car nose to nose with yours, about 18 inches apart. Make sure that both vehicles are in park and that their emergency brakes are on and engines off. Clamp the red end of the jumper cable to the dead battery's positive terminal and the other end of the red cable to the functioning car's positive terminal. Attach the end of the black cable to the working battery's negative terminal and the other end to a metal section such as a bracket or bolt a foot or more away from the battery to ground it in the dead car. Start the working car and let it run 1 to 2 minutes, revving the engine slightly. Now give your car a try. It may take a couple of attempts, but don't try to start it more than 3 or 4 times in a row, as this could damage your car's electrical system. Once the dead car is running, disconnect the cables in the reverse order you connected them. Don't let the clamps touch. Now drive your car to let your battery charge to full capacity, so it'll start again next time. A short drive might not be enough, so you might want to leave the car parked and idling a while with the lights off. If your car refuses to start after a few jump attempts, it may be due to battery corrosion or a problem with your fuses, alternator, ignition switch, or starter connection, or the battery might be too dead to take a charge and will need to be replaced.
Alright, so let's go ahead and start talking about vehicle insurance. Okay, so Texas requires proof that an owner is capable of paying in case he or she injures a person or damages properties in a collision. This is referred to as the Texas Safety Responsibility Law. Most drivers carry auto insurance. They pay a premium or fee to provide protection from financial losses which may arise from a collision or mishap in which they are involved. The insurance company issues a policy or written contract and proof of insurance to the individual indicating how much and under what circumstances it will pay. Where to acquire insurance? You can get it directly from an insurance company, agents who represent one or more insurance companies, brokers who do business with many companies, county mutuals which are not required to offer discounts, auto clubs which also issues insurance, employers, unions, or fraternal organizations. Also, if you're a small business owner and you own 10 or more vehicles, you can use those vehicles as collateral for insurance. You can get that receipt from the DPS office. You could also get what they call a bond for a certain amount through a bank that allows you to self-insure if you have that kind of money. All right, and of course down here you see State Farm Insurance, USAA. I personally carry USAA, Geico, Farmers Insurance, Allstate. These are really good companies that offer auto insurance. But you should also go out there and don't be afraid to shop for a good rate. But at the same time, you want an insurance company that's going to be there for you whenever you do get into a collision or whenever you do have to make a claim, because the better reputation that insurance company has in terms of paying out their claims, the easier time you're going to have collecting those on those claims. So always think about that. Kinds of insurance. Okay, so Texas law requires that you have a minimum of liability insurance. Now, liability insurance only covers the other party. So if you're ever at fault in an accident or a collision, liability insurance will only pay for the damaged parties or not fault parties, either vehicle, property, or injury and things of that nature. So what does it cover? It covers, you have to get a minimum of $30,000 per person. 60,000 per collision for injuries. That means if there's more than one person in the vehicle, it'll cover at a max of 60,000 for personal injuries for more than one person in a vehicle. For property damage, 25,000. So when you're ever involved in an accident, whatever property damage you create, it'll cover up to that much. Now, if you do get the bare minimum, you have to understand that if you hit a vehicle that costs more than $25,000 and it's a total loss, you may be coming up with the remainder of that. Okay, so I always tell people a good financial stance to take is always insure yourself for what you're worth. So if you're worth $1 million, insure yourself for $1 million. If you're a student just starting out and you have nothing to your name, liability insurance may be enough for you, but at the same time, just know that whenever you do go out there and you do cause damage or injury to a person and you max out your policy, you will be liable for the remainder of whatever's owed. So just be careful when you're out there driving. It's a great responsibility. You also have what they call collision insurance. Now, collision insurance covers your car regardless of who is at fault. Okay, so if somebody hits you and their insurance company is giving you a hard time, you're not able to collect, you can call up your own insurance company, go ahead and make a claim and have your car fixed that way, and then the insurance company will collect from the other insurance company. Same thing with kind of uninsured motorists. If they're not insured or underinsured, it'll cover you as well. But you also have, let's say you have liability insurance, but you also want to get underinsured motorist insurance, which is separate and it only covers those instances. You can get that as well as an additional add-on to your policy. Comprehensive insurance. Okay, now comprehensive and collision insurance is required if you finance your vehicle and you're paying a bank or financial institution in order to to drive your car. So as long as your car is being financed until it's paid off and you own the title in your name, you'd have to carry what they call full coverage, which includes comprehensive and collision. Okay, so comprehensive insurance protects your car from vandalism, theft, fire, floods, windstorms, and other non-collision events. During Hurricane Harvey, my car went underwater, and I called up USAA because I had comprehensive insurance. They went out and sent me a check for the value of the vehicle, and I was able to go out and buy me another car the next day. So having that type of insurance for those type of God events, you definitely want to be insured. Even if you own your car outright, if that car has a number of value to it, if it's worth a lot, you definitely want to have that a little bit extra coverage. Personal injury protection is what they call PIP. It covers medical, funeral expenses, lost wages, and caregiver services. Okay, so this includes for anybody inside your vehicle. So if you have PIP coverage and you're driving and you have a passenger inside your car, your PIP will cover their medical costs, your medical costs. It depends how much PIP coverage you have, but that's what it would cover. So let's see here, cost of insurance. Okay, now there's a lot of things that go into the cost of your insurance and how you're insured. Okay, so the number one thing, of course, that affects your rate is your age. Rates change as you get older. The youngest driver pays more. So if you're an 18-year-old, you're going to be paying more than a 40-year-old. Okay, simply because you're considered a novice driver, more likely to get into an auto accident. Your driving record plays a big deal in how much you're going to pay. So if you're a good driver and you have a good driving record, you're definitely going to pay less, right? So if you don't have any accidents or tickets on your record and you've been driving for years, you're going to be paying the lowest amount for that portion of how they calculate the rate. But if you get tickets and you have accidents, your premium is going to skyrocket. Just know that for every ticket you get, it compounds how much you're going to be paying each month. So you definitely want to make sure you're a good driver, because I have a relative that gets several tickets per year, a couple accidents. She's paying over $300 a month for auto insurance, whereas I pay less than $50 a month. Huge difference. It can definitely cost you if you're not a good driver. So you want to make sure that you follow the law, don't get tickets, and don't get into accidents. How much you use your car. So when you call to get insurance, they're going to ask you for what purpose do you use your vehicle and how far do you drive per year. That's going to affect your rate. Okay, so if you drive your car more than 12,000 miles per year, you're going to pay more than somebody who drives less than 12,000 miles per year. Marital status. Okay, so if you're married, you pay less, you pay lower premiums, and usually I think that kind of correlates with you're both sharing a policy, so it kind of helps lower the price a little bit. Gender. If you're a woman, in terms of statistics, you have fewer accidents and tickets than most men. So men, if you are a man, regardless of age, you are going to be paying more than that of a woman based on that portion of the rate. So you get a little bit lower, your rate goes down a little bit if you're a woman compared to a man, if everything else is equal. Okay, where you live, your residence. Where you live and the amount of accidents in that zip code will affect your rate. So if you live in an area of town where there's a lot of accidents and there's a lot of reports for accidents in that zip code, you're going to pay a higher premium because it's considered to be a higher risk area. So if you live in a rural area out in the country, rates will be lower. If you live in a big city like New York City, Houston, LA, you're going to pay a higher premium because there's more cars and there's more opportunities to get into an accident compared to somebody who lives in an area where there's not very many people. All right, so your deductible. Your deductible is what you pay every time you make a claim. So if your deductible is $500 and your car needs to be repaired from a collision or accident, and you have that and your insurance company is going to cover it for you, or if another person that you hit, you're at fault and they need to get their car repaired, well, you're going to have to pay your deductible. And usually they range anywhere from $100, $500, maybe even up to $1,000 sometimes. So that also affects your rate. So the higher deductible you have, the lower rate per month you're going to pay. But the lower the deductible you have, the higher premium you're going to pay. So it's all about risk. Are you willing to risk having to pay a higher deductible so you can pay a lower premium? Or are you willing to pay a higher premium in case you do get into an accident, you pay a lower deductible? So you kind of go by what kind of driver are you, okay? So you want to mitigate that risk and determine what's best for you. Special discounts, if you have safety features on your car, from alarm against theft, from safety features inside the vehicle to keep you safe, from airbags, seat belts, anti-lock brakes, all these different things kind of go into how much you're going to pay in your premium based on the amount of features your car has when it comes to keeping people safe inside the vehicle. All right, so dealing with an insurance company after collision. Okay, now anytime you have to understand an insurance company is in business for profit. Okay, they're not in business to give money away. They will find anything and everything. If there's a legal reason for them to deny your claim, they're going to deny it. But if everything is legitimate and you followed it to the T, your policy to the T, what should they pay? Okay, depending on what type of insurance coverage you should have. In most cases, okay, if somebody hits you and they're at fault and their insurance company, you have to deal with their insurance company. This is what they should pay, even if they only have liability. They should pay your medical and hospital bills. They should pay your wages lost due to injuries. They should pay any type of car rentals while your car is being repaired. They should repair or replace your vehicle up to the actual cash value of the car. And then, of course, they should give you compensation for pain, suffering, if anyone is hurt. Now, this is up to the policy limits, right? So if somebody has liability and it's $30,000, you're the only one in the car, the most that they're going to give out is $30,000 for medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering, rental car. Now, if it's for the replacement of your vehicle, the most that they're going to give out is $25,000. So depending on how much coverage that person has, those are going to be the limits for what that company pays. So if you're ever involved in an auto accident and it's not your fault, their insurance company should cover a minimum of these things for you, so that way you can get back on your feet and go back to living normal again.